Midoriya flips Hitoshi Sancho's shit, and Shoto Todoroki throws down with the master of adhesives, Hanta Sero. All that and more in this week's superhero-sized episode of My Hero Academia. That is right, ladies and gentlemen. Hitoshi Sancho, the brainwashing bitch, gets defeated by Izuku Midoriya, all with the power of willpower. Either that or some sort of weird ability for the One for All that he managed to tap into and talk to all of the previous users of said quirk. This was a pretty interesting episode, to say the least. I had a lot of different theories as to how Izuku Midoriya was going to get out of this very first round. I didn't think the series would have the balls to actually have him get defeated in the very first round, breaking the convention of plot armor. But he does manage to make it out of this sticky situation in a very somewhat anticlimactic yet still epic battle. I have to admit, I wanted a little bit more from this fight, but when you consider that Hitoshi Sancho is not exactly like a big physical fighter, there really wasn't going to be anything all that impressive. Although, watching Izuku actually overcome his brainwashing abilities and snap himself out of this sticky situation with the use of One for All was pretty freaking great. Especially when he's walking right to the edge of the ring. Because that's basically what Sancho is trying to do here. He's trying to basically brainwash people and make them just walk out of the ring, get a ring out, and win. That's his entire strategy. And he has to hope it works, and he has to make sure that no one knows his actual weakness, which is to just straight up not talk back to him. Unfortunately, Izuku, being the loudmouth that he is, decided to talk, and that's why he's walking to the edge of the ring. But right before his foot hits it, suddenly he sees in the vision of his eyes all of these mysterious people in shadow who have glowing yellow eyes, one of them looking very much like All Might, and these are clearly the previous users of the One for All ability, and then suddenly he is able to make his fingers freaking explode, which causes this amazing shockwave. He turns around, he keeps quiet, and he immediately starts heading right for Hitoshi Sancho, and this is when he decides he's going to take him out by giving him his very own taste of his own medicine by throwing him out of the ring. And this amazing scene where he flips him over his shoulder, it is freaking awesome. I love that he's barely had to use any of his main abilities to take down his opponents at this point, so you know the build-up to actually seeing that is really going to pay off. Now, this could have been the entire end of the scene and we could have moved on to the next round, but I do like that they actually delved a little bit more into Hitoshi Sancho's past, getting to see what he's like before he actually came to this school, and getting to see how the other students actually sort of view him. And honestly, I had the same thoughts. With an ability like his, he would make one hell of a villain, being able to control people, and even initially he came across as that, especially the way with his creepy expressions and the way he forced people to actually work for him, in a sense, especially during the preliminary exam and especially during the big cavalry battle. But now that he's on his own, you get to see the glaring weakness of his abilities, yet still he manages to move forward. Even at the end of the battle, after being defeated by Izuku, he's basically cheered on by all of his former classmates. There's even a ton of heroes who are very interested in his abilities. Some of them, by the way, look freaking awesome. There's this one big dinosaur dude. I don't know, maybe he's half man, half dinosaur. All I know is I absolutely love the side characters in this series. They all manage to be a lot of fun. So, there it is. That's pretty much the end of the battle, with Hitoshi Sancho realizing his weaknesses, as well as acknowledging the strengths of Izuku Midoriya, and realizing that he should be blessed to have those powers. And yes, Izuku's incredibly blessed to have these amazing abilities. He's healed up by Medical Girl. He tells them about the whole situation with all the previous users of One for All, which is still kind of a mystery at this point, but I really like it. It adds this really epic element to this episode. The rest of this episode, we finally get the beginning of another big fight, which is going to be Shoto Todoroki, the master of fire and ice, and in particular very in favor of using the ice. Not wanting to use the fire to sort of, you know, basically say, hey dad, fuck you. And then you have Hanta Sero, who, bless him, he has a really cool ability, but he's going up against Shoto freaking Todoroki. This is a guy who has the ability to shoot tape from his elbows, which is a ridiculous ability, but it still manages to lend itself to a lot of great animated sequences. When they go into the ring, he's actually the very first one to attack, and he grabs onto Shoto and starts to swing him out as he's getting ready to throw him out of the ring. But then Shoto Todoroki is just so pissed after running into his father that he just puts his foot down, and then suddenly this massive wave of ice just explodes right in Hanta's face, and you get to see the absolute massive scale of this ability. You get to see basically this giant, spiky, craggy iceberg exploding out of this stadium, and everyone is in a state of complete shock and awe. It's awesome. This is what happens when Shoto Todoroki is pissed the fuck off. And it's just great. The actual reactions from the crowd is really great, too. There's this group of heroes who basically say, "It's okay, man, everything's cool, you did your best," and everybody starts cheering for him, and it's kind of sad. And of course, even Hanta's like, "Dude, you went a little too far on this," but as Shoto says, he was very angry, and he unthaws him, ending this week's episode and making you wonder who the hell is going to be fighting against this icy bastard next. So what's the rundown on this week's episode of My Hero Academia? This was a pretty solid episode. I'm really glad that we were able to get 2 fights out of it, too. That's the way I like my tournament arcs. Although there are some episodes that I know are going to be a little bit longer, probably when we get closer to the semifinals or even the finals of this big badass fighting arc. I loved that Izuku Midoriya is still holding back and not able to really use his ability. It makes every single time he uses it that much more epic. And he didn't even really do anything with One For All that crazy in this episode, aside from just hurting his fingers so that he could get snapped out of the brainwashing. You just know when we finally do get to those moments where he does have to kind of go all out and actually use his abilities, that it's just going to be great. Because just watching him fight alone is really fun. The moment when he's actually pushing Shinso out of the ring and then Shinso starts punching him and then he just grabs him and flips him over, that was such a great freaking moment. I know it's cheesy to say, but it's a triumphant moment for the human spirit. That's the feeling I get from it. That's the vibe I get from watching that scene, and it just got me really damn pumped up. I can't wait to see who he's actually going to be fighting against next. I mean, the sky really is the limit on this battle right here. And like I said, I'm glad they're doing a pretty decent job of actually expanding on the side characters as well as Hitoshi Shinso and his villainous abilities, which by the end of the episode, he realizes that it's the ability that pretty much any hero could want. It would be incredibly useful to them, and he's got a lot of prospective brand new buyers out there. For all we know, he could be the ultimate sidekick to Dinosaur Man. Think of that as a spin-off. Dinosaur Man and Hitoshi Shinso, the brainwashing boy. I think the title sells itself. And then we have Shoto Todoroki, who still continues to be one of the most amazingly cool characters from this series. Not only for his, fun, if it is somewhat cliched backstory, but I can't wait to see all the other characters that he's going to be going up against, and I can't wait to see someone actually give him a little bit of a challenge, because he's an overwhelmingly powerful character at this point. Even as a kid, this guy's got a quirk that a lot of people, I'm sure, wish they could have, the ability to control ice. And if that's what he can do with that, just imagine what he can do with fire, even more so if he actually manages to combine these abilities into something even crazier. And of course, you feel his rage in almost every single scene that he's in. The animators are doing a great job of expressing just how pissed off he is. There's a lot of great angles in this episode of just his expressions from his face, and he looks like he's about to pop a freaking blood vessel. It's just insane. And Hanta Sero, I feel so sorry for this character. I mean, he's a cool guy, and I really like the ability, and I love that he can utilize it in a number of different ways, but he's just, to me, he's one of the lamest heroes of the class. I mean, he still has a cool ability, and who wouldn't want to be able to shoot tape from the friggin' elbows? But there's just no way he was gonna beat this guy, so it was pretty predictable how it was going to go down. I was hoping it'd go on just a bit longer, but Shoto Todoroki, man, guy's a badass. So this was another great episode of My Hero Academia, delving a little bit more into the One For All ability, as well as getting to see a great triumphant moment with Izuku Midoriya overcoming the odds yet again, and then displaying again that Shoto Todoroki is not to be messed with. It was all done with some pretty damn good animation as well. As far as I'm concerned, this was another really solid episode of My Hero Academia. One of my favorite new anime series. I love superheroes, I love action, and I love good characters. This series has all three, so make sure to check it out. I'm going to give this week's episode a 5 out of 5. I really loved it. I have no complaints watching this one. I got nothing but pure entertainment value from it, and that's why you should check out this week's episode. However, your thoughts may differ, and I would love to hear what you guys thought about this week's episode of My Hero Academia in the comments section below. Did you like this episode as much as me? What did you think of the battle between Izuku Midoriya and Hitoshi Sancho? And what about Shoto Todoroki completely freezing the entire stadium? What do you want to see from the rest of the UA Sports Festival? Please tell me your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you guys so much for watching this review. Make sure to subscribe to the channel for all things My Hero Academia anime related. Like I said, if you did watch this week's episode, I'd love to hear your thoughts about it in the comments section. I'd love to talk with you guys about it too. And if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, give it a thumbs down. I'll see you guys next time. And as always, stay damn down, baby!